That steel would have been so close to the front, maximum 3, maybe 5 years. And then you start getting rust coming through, and then it cracks and blows open, and then you've got to redo all of it. And obviously, because the steel is so close to the front, there's nothing you can do. You'll always be patching it, repairing it, patching and repairing. So what I need today is the guys to get all of the 3-inch smocks. I need them to go up onto the roof. I need them to get big bars down in between the formwork and pull the framework, the beams, and any form of rebar back, and then get 3-inch smocks all the way down to the bottom, including the top, to get that coverage, especially from this wall here and the wall on this side here. Let me show you. So this wall and this wall are technically north and northeast facing. The wind 90% of the time hits that corner. So sometimes it'll be coming straight at that side, sometimes it'll be coming straight at the front, and probably 60-70% of the time it's going straight in and hitting that corner, so it's hitting both. So they need 3-inch smocks all the way around, absolute minimum. Everything needs 3-inch, anything that's outside needs 3-inch anyway, but anything that obviously is blatantly in the actual, the rain, the elements, wind, it's going to carry the salt. So the wind and rain salt is absolutely devastating to concrete. Concrete's porous. So this is a perfect example. This definitely hasn't got 3-inch smocks in it. So we need today to get all of this chiseled off, filled properly, and wet-creted. Wetcrete being the blue paint that they can paint on that becomes like a rubberized finish, like it is on the beam there. So that is now protected, and that will help us until we get the plaster on. So again, we need to make sure anything being plastered has actually got a good element of waterproof in it. So there's in fact, there's buckets everywhere, this stuff here. So these empty buckets that lay around everywhere, you've got Mortarbond, SBR Mortarbond. You add that to the concrete to ensure that the concrete has got a waterproof agent. So most of, I haven't watched all of it obviously, but most of the concrete we've actually poured ourselves and put into this building has actually got the waterproof in it. The beams that were poured, like this big one here, we asked the concrete company to make sure they added the relevant additive to it. So I need to, they normally ask you whether you want test cubes. Bring these like steel ingots with them, and they pour samples into the cubes. Then they send those cubes off for testing, and those testing give you a certificate to make sure that you're happy with the concrete. I haven't had that from Ready Mix for this beam, so I don't know why they haven't provided it. It's not something that normally you have to request. It's something they naturally do, so I will ask them for that. I'm definitely going to ask them for the roof as and when they get around to doing that, if they ever get around to doing it, that's for sure. Because it's like an insurance policy. It's your way of actually guaranteeing that what they said they were going to do, they did. So today I really want to make sure that any form of concrete we have in the building is done right. I'm looking at this, for instance, minor, but they did this window frame wrong. So they've chiseled it out and obviously poured concrete, but number one, as you can see, it's pissed. It's not even straight. It straightens as it goes up to the top here, but it's bent at the bottom. So there's the first problem. And then they actually did the box at an angle, which means they haven't finished the top. So there's always like minor little things like that. So it's just the time and effort that's now going to take to get straight and filled at the top. If it just did the job properly in the first place, it wouldn't be that much of an issue. This one's been done. It's been done a lot better, but again, it's still not straight. And again, we've got to try and get all that sealed. So every single thing at the moment that's been fixed into here is allowing air and salt to come in. Again, the corner needs to be scraped off, needs to be flushed back. All the bits of concrete that are obviously out need to be chiseled off. All the crap that's in the concrete needs to be taken out. We need to do that pretty much everywhere. So I think today's goal, certainly for the labourers, going around and finding any form of concrete that we've got and making sure we make it good. If it's got holes or blemishes or whatever it's going to be, get that made good and try and get the blue Wetcrete onto it. And we've got a lot of it. It's everywhere. So I think the next goal I'll be giving the masons, obviously, is apart from getting the block work that's outstanding finished. So they've been doing the pool yesterday. The pool wall, I think, is probably at height. And when I say height, I think the next stage, as I said yesterday in the video, is the beam. There's a beam that goes in and around here to tie it all into here and into here. And then they will box that up and pour that. So that's got to be poured at the right level. So I think that's pretty much done. And then they'll have to scratch coat like they've done here, waterproof scratch coat all the way around here and around the other side as well. And the front edge is lower. But it's, again, the same thing. There'll be a beam on there boxed up. That will be plastered poured and plastered as well. So that can be done, and this can be done. But again, from my point of view, that should be on a price, because, I mean, yes, that's what, it's, you know, 3 courses, 2 masons all day. That in England would have been finished. So yeah, from my point of view, that's definitely got to be finished today. So I need to talk to them about how long that will take. It shouldn't be taking a couple of hours, that's for sure, because at the end of the day, it's just getting the rebar guys to get the beam in, both the front and the back, and getting it boxed. So that should be a couple of hours job once the actual rebar guys have actually got the beam in. But I need the rebar guys focusing on finishing the roof. I have to finish that roof. I have to finish that roof. And once they've done that, I then need them coming into here and getting this step sorted, because they haven't even started this yet. Well, that's a lie. They have started. They got the side beams in and the bottom beams. So the bottom beams are along here, look. The side beams in here. They now need to get I think they put a BRC sheeting on first and tie all of this in. And then they put these then get bent down, and they put more rebar all the way down and cross grid it and tie that in as well. So it'll have 2 forms of rebar in there. So we need to get that done. And from my point of view, I need to decide whether I'm also going to get all this cleared out as well. So this is obviously a mess. So I need to get the labourers in here to get this all cleared out, so that's nice and empty, ready for the concrete pour of the floor. We've also got a floor in here that needs to be poured at some stage before that's all blocked up. And just generally, there's just crap everywhere. So we've got a week of work, but of reasonable downtime. So I need to make sure that we're using our time wisely. And this place doesn't look like it's neglected, because at the moment, like I said to the labourer, the head labourer yesterday, it's just not right. You know, as soon as something gets taken down, this is a perfect example. You know, as soon as there's something that's not needed, it should be cleared up and taken away. It shouldn't just be dumped and left. So, you know, we're a lot tidier today because we spent yesterday sort of snagging and picking things up, but there's still mess everywhere. So there's still stuff that needs to be sorted out. But in here, for example, apart from now just going over the roof and seeing where the leakages are going to be and making sure we tighten those up, also balancing the beams, making sure there's no sag in the roof, within reason, there's nothing really to do in here. Apart from, I am mindful at the moment that some of the bolts apparently that are through the side of the building aren't tightened properly. So I have to get all of those tightened up, make sure they're rock hard. And then also the formwork on the front of the building that's actually attached, some of it could be leaning out. And when you tighten those bolts, it's also about trying to get the formwork straight, because if the formwork straight, then when you pour the concrete column, then that will be flush and straight as well. So we need to get up there and test that they're all fixed properly, and tied properly, so that when the concrete goes in, it's safe, but also the beam is poured straight, not pissed like we've got a lot of them. The downside, if you don't get it right, obviously, is that when you come to plaster, it becomes a bit of a, you know, plastering is not so bad, because obviously plaster you can lose some thickness. But inside, for argument's sake, I'll show you an example. If you don't get the beam right, then for instance, probably not one of the best examples, but this beam here is a perfect example. We've got to now batten all of these walls with metal and wooden conduit. And when you have bits of plaster like that hanging out, then obviously the wood can't be flush on the wall, so you now got to chisel that off. So that one's not too bad, because it's actually quite recessed in. There's a couple of little bits on there that need sorting. But when you walk around, you see some of them that are actually quite jagged. So I need, again, the guys to come through here with a Hilti. And anytime they see something which is hanging out of the wall, which is going to stop the wood from getting on the wall, it's got to be taken off. Perfect example. This isn't too bad, but down here it's pretty bad. There's a couple of quite large chunks that literally would stop the wood even touching the wall, let alone. I mean, there's a perfect example there, look. I mean, this boxing here, that whole little ledge up there that seems to have been left has now got to be chiselled right off. As is all of this, look, you've probably got about 1 inch. So that's all got to be sorted. And you've even got a smock coming through there, look. So anyway, that's where we are so far. Plumber's still got to get down there and sort out some of the stuff he's meant to be doing as well. So yeah, not disastrous, but certainly not the best place to be. But we've got a week to sort it all out properly before the pour, so We need to get everyone together and make sure everyone's on the same page, so that when the pour happens, we are literally not only ready for the pour, but we've also knocked off maybe 2-3 other things that we would have done after the pour. So that's the aim for today. So fingers crossed, and get everybody on it and get those things achieved. So I'll update throughout the day. Downpour halts things at 12 o'clock dead. Beautiful little shower that we've had. I've actually gone around here. The carpenters didn't tighten up one of those bolts, so I've been up there today tightening all those up. I need to make sure also that the formwork's now being pulled in, which it looks like it is. Before it was actually being pulled the other way, so as and when we poured, it would just pour. It would pour a weird beam. It would literally hang out, so the siding would be harder to put on. So I've managed to tighten most of that up. I've done most of it on the front here, and then I did the others inside on a ladder. So that's done. That means I also need to check every single one on this building as well. Although we did it, not the other team of carpenters, so I just want to make sure they're all done. And also we noticed that the smocks were missing, like I said this morning. So this one here has been half done. So 2 sides have been done. We need to complete the other 2 sides, and then we need to target this building. There are so many things on this building not done, so we need to get that done. Also little tiny, for instance, holes on the formwork at the front. Just need to get in there and actually fill that with a bit of duct tape, because when the concrete pours, it just pours out, so we need to get those sorted out. So yeah, what we've done today, so the guys are putting lines on the front of the pool area and getting that boxed up ready for the beam to be installed and the pour of the top, as well as the front, same thing again, but a smaller beam. That one will probably have a 24-inch beam on top of that and poured, and it'll be around about 5/8, if not 3/4 an inch lower on the front edges. It will be on the side edges, so you get that waterfall effect. The lads have actually been out filling holes around the beam areas and painting with Wetcrete. So as you can see, Wetcrete's gone on, and anywhere where there's a hole or a blemish, they're filling with mortar and then painting over it. And they're going to do that with all the beams around the building if it stops raining, that is. And then they'll work their way up and start doing items like this. So there's plenty of concrete to be Wetcreted. Pour has just made us realise where also some of the internal leaks are coming in the formwork. Really what we should be doing is probably drawing on them just so we know where they are, so that as and when the concrete's poured, we'll get a similar effect. So it just means that we'll be able to put sand down straight away rather than waiting for it. So I might get that drawn out so we actually know what's happening. But other than that, it's Wetcreting. It's the front pool. We've plastered downstairs and emptied out the foyer little area of the storage compartment that may end up being in future use. I'll show you what I mean. So we've emptied that. So that was actually full up. Since the last time I filmed, we've had the doorway knocked through into a double, and we've had that done. So that's now got to be boxed up in the corner and poured. And we've also got to pour concrete on the floor as well, so that's got to be done next. And we need to put a threshold down there to ensure that any water going down stays, and we need to get where that concrete bag is, that's actually a drain, so that will be put into the floor to take the water away. And we've obviously plastered some walls that need to be done, and then it's going to be lunchtime, and then back to it this afternoon. So I'll update you as and when the afternoon goes on. So the staircase is underway. It's time now, 20 to... Staircase is pretty much done. So we've got 2 lots of rebar on the top, 2 lots going through. That will stop the wobble because it's a 17-inch span, and it's 7 to 8 tiers high. It's about making sure that even with no side supports here or the other side, which it does have, but without side supports there is no sag going on or vibration. So when you're standing on it, it's sort of doing this. So there's none of that now with a double, but obviously it costs you a bit more money, but it's got to be done right. We had a bit of a downpour, as you can see. It's now like sludge hell. Everything's soaking wet, even inside, because obviously stuff leaks through the formwork. And this is what kills formwork as well. Formwork does not like the rain, especially if you buy orange crap, which we didn't buy, but it was delivered to us. We always buy red. Red's a little bit more, it's the marines of ply. And as you can see, the swimming pool has filled with water. Not ideal.
The line, pull that line there, I keep. That one, yes.
So anyway, that is making a bit of progress, although it's now 2:45 and we still haven't got FORMWORK up. We could have started this first thing this morning. I don't know what takes everyone so long. Damn. Anyway, the guys are up finishing some smocks on the rebar. So I'm assuming they're trying to pull the beams away from the front to get the smocks down the front. I have pulled in that boxwork a little bit too tight. Might need to let that off a little bit more. I pulled it in too much there. I'll double check that in a minute. Standing by the side. You sort of see it leaning in a bit too much. We need to let that off. But other than that, I'll update you on the inside in a second. Okay, 4:05. Rain's coming down again. We've got most of the building actually wet-created. We've got plastering going on. And some of the walls like that. Inside's a bit of a mess, obviously because of rain and us having no roof. So we're very wet and very sludgy. Staircase is nearly finished. Ready for the pour. Very wet in here, but thank God I didn't sand in here. That's the whole reason why I didn't. All the wood's off the floor because of the wet. Try and preserve the wood as best we can, although it's still getting wet coming through. And tomorrow's game is going to be about getting up and making sure we smock all of the actual formwork to ensure that the steel is away from the outside by at least 3 inches. We did manage to get one bit of formwork on the outside here. I'm not too sure why it's only one, but one's better than none, as they say. Let's get this shower in. God, bloody hell. These boys shit me. Sorry, I'm picking stuff up as I'm talking. Yeah, so as you can see, we've had quite a bit of rain. The pool's got a little bit of water in there. That should have been finished off inside and out. Some of these drills getting absolutely soaked. So we need to get all the screws away. Need to get the drills away. That's not my drill. And the screws, obviously, for the other side as well. So they're all out. So we need to be able to get those put away very quickly. Not too sure where the carpenters are, or whether they know that their drills are out. Daniels, you know the drills are out. There's also screws and saws there as well. Yeah, it's on the other side, mate. Babysitting. Beckles? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, it protects us a little bit, but the walls are damp, water's dripping through. Suddenly the rain has come. Hopefully it's just going to be a day. I have to look at the forecast. Tomorrow is Smock day tomorrow, and light through the roof day. That's what I'm going to get everyone doing. And I also want to test all the jacks to make sure I'm getting no rattles like this one here. Anything that's got a rattle, not too bad. I want to know why. Everything should be, yeah, see, that's too loose. Anything that's got a slight rattle to it, I want to know why. It might be justified, but if it's not, I want it tightened. I want to make sure that as and when we pour, we get zero sag. And one of the downsides, obviously, of having that open, is our basement's now got water in it again. Tap, tap, tap. So I don't think it's just coming in through here. It must be coming in elsewhere. I'm not too sure. I need to have a look. But it is quite flooded down there again. So God knows why. But anyway, that is it for a rainy day in Barbados. The rain's good when you're not in construction. So fingers crossed. We'll have a dry day tomorrow. We've got to get this place dried back out and start getting plans in place for smock that, smock the roof, carry on wet-creating everything, which we run out now, 5 gallons. Need to get another 5 gallons. Bear in mind I've already done 9 gallons. So yeah, more wetcrete, more sealing, and just trying to do anything we can physically do that was going to be done in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're trying to bring forward so that as and when we pour, we're not having to spend those 1-2 weeks afterwards doing those things. So Normally you would do the roof, and then you would systematically obviously then do 2, 3, 4, 5 things after. We're trying to do those things now. So hopefully tomorrow that will bring us a little bit closer towards it.